Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to JuniperGraceTube number 15! Yay! I'm so glad that you've come back to join me here today. My name is Juniper Grace. You can find me on Ravelry as Juniper Grace. You can find me on Instagram as Juniper Grace. You can find me on Twitter as GRaceFace, G-E-E Raceface. And you can find, well, you probably are already there, but everything that goes on in Juniper GraceTube land either on Ravelry under the Juniper GraceTube group or on my website, junipergrace.ca. We almost made it all the way through without any mistakes. Whatever. Okay, so I have something special for this week, and hopefully that will carry on for a little while. But first, do you have your special little beverage? This one is iced coffee today, brought to you by the amazing cold brew at Discovery Coffee in Victoria. If you ever manage to get to Discovery Coffee sometime during the summer, I'm guessing they're only doing it during the summer, but they will have this amazing cold brew that you can buy. And it's delicious. And once you buy the bottle, you can go back and just get the bottle refilled, which I've done many times. So if you have your lovely, delicious beverage, as well as some knitting, I would like to propose a new project. And by project, I mean a new thing that we're going to do here at Juniper GraceTube. I was looking through my collection of books and realized that I'm kind of getting, well, no, I'm not really getting low on kids' books that I love, but I kind of want to share with you guys a different book. I want to read Anne of Green Gables. Now, obviously, I can't read it all in one sitting, obviously. That'd be an incredibly long podcast. But I was thinking, what if we read maybe a chapter, a podcast, threw in some songs? I don't know. I'm going to try it out. Let's at least read one chapter and see what happens. I mean, it's only 8 pages long for one chapter, so I figure it couldn't be that hard to read through. When I was pulling out my copy of Anne of Green Gables that my aunt gave me, it's a really, really old version. It has, although it was for somebody else eventually, or originally, Merry Christmas 1977 to A Sweet Girl Lisa, Love Uncle Tom and Aunt Donna. I don't know who that Lisa was, but I guess this is a thrifted book. But look, first, there's a picture of Ellen Montgomery, the author of Anne of Green Gables. And then when I opened up my copy, I actually found an old picture of my mom. Sorry, Mom. Sorry if you don't like this picture, but I think you're so cute. Look at you in your little tiny light buttercream yellow sweater. It's definitely a knit sweater. I don't think it was hand knit, but oh my gosh. And your pants, Mom, your jeans. Okay, you guys can't, I don't know if you can quite see the detail on those, but they are no ordinary jeans. It's like they have kind of grids of seams, sort of. That's incredible. Just thought I'd share that with you. Okay, so we're gonna read let's read Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. Okay, so this is a great time for you to pull out any kind of difficult knitting that needs your attention with your eyes, because you're really just going to see me reading. I'm not sure if there's really any pictures right away. I know there's a few in here, but we'll find out. So this is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery with illustrations by Hilton Hassel, OSA, whatever that means. Chapter 1. Mrs. Rachel Lynde is surprised. Mrs. Rachel Lynde lived just where the Avonlea main road dipped down into a little hollow, fringed with alders and ladies' eardrops, and traversed by a brook that had its source away back in the woods of the old Cuthbert place. It was reputed to be an intricate headlong brook in its earlier course through those woods, with dark secrets of pool and cascade, but by the time it reached Lynde's Hollow, it was a quiet, well-conducted little stream, for not even a brook could run past Mrs. Rachel Lynde's door without due regard for decency and decorum. It probably was conscious that Mrs. Rachel was sitting at her window keeping a sharp eye on everything that passed from brooks and children up. And if she noticed anything odd or out of place, she would never rest until she had ferreted out the whys and wherefores thereof. There are plenty of people in Avonlea and out of it who can attend closely to their neighbor's business by dint of neglecting their own, but Mrs. Rachel Lynde was one of those capable creatures who can manage their own concerns and those of other folks into the bargain. She was a notable housewife. Her work was always done and well done. She ran the sewing circle, helped run the Sunday school, and was the strongest prop of the Church Aid Society and Foreign Missions Auxiliary. Yet, with all this, Mrs. Rachel found abundant time to sit for hours at her kitchen window, knitting cotton warp quilts. She had knitted 16 of them, as Avonlea housekeepers were wont to tell in awed voices. And, keeping a sharp eye on the main road that crossed the hollow and wound up the steep red hill beyond, since Avonlea occupied a little triangular peninsula jutting out into the Gulf of St. Lawrence, with water on two sides of it, anybody who went out of it or into it had to pass over the hill road and so run the unseen gauntlet of Mrs. Rachel's all-seeing eye. I love this story. She was sitting there one afternoon in early June. The sun was coming in at the window, warm and bright. The orchard on the slope below the hill was in a bridal flush of pinky white bloom, hummed over by a myriad of bees. Thomas Lynde, a meek little man whom Avonlea people called Rachel Lynde's husband, was sowing his late turnip seeds on the hill field beyond the barn, and Matthew Cuthbert ought to have been sowing his on the big Red Brook field, away over by Green Gables. Mrs. Rachel knew that he ought to, because she had heard him tell Peter Morrison that evening before in William J. Blair's store over at Carmody that he meant to sow his turnip seeds the next afternoon. Peter had asked him, of course, for Matthew Cuthbert had never been known to volunteer information about anything in his whole life. And yet here was Matthew Cuthbert at 3:30 on the afternoon of a busy day, placidly driving over the hollow and up the hill. Moreover, he wore a white collar and his best suit of clothes, which was plain proof that he was going out of Avonlea. And he had the buggy and the sorrel mare, which betokened that he was going a considerable distance. Now, where was Matthew Cuthbert going, and why was he going there? Had it been any other man in Avonlea, Mrs. Rachel, deftly putting this and that together, might have given a pretty good guess as to both questions. But Matthew so rarely went from home that it must be something pressing and unusual, which was taking him. He was the shyest man alive and hated to have to go among strangers or to any place where he might have to talk. Matthew, dressed up with a white collar and driving in a buggy, was something that didn't happen often. Mrs. Rachel, ponder as she might, could make nothing of it, and her afternoon's enjoyment was spoiled. I'll just step over to Green Gables after tea and find out from Marilla where he's gone and why, the worthy woman finally concluded. He doesn't generally go to town this time of year, and he never visits. If he'd run out of turnip seed, he wouldn't dress up and take the buggy to go for more. He wasn't driving fast enough to be going for a doctor, yet something must have happened since last night to start him off. I'm clean puzzled, that's what, and I won't know a minute's peace of mind or conscience until I know what has taken Matthew Cuthbert out of Avonlea today. Do you know anybody that's like Rachel Lynde? Accordingly, after tea, Mrs. Rachel set out. She had not far to go. The big, rambling, orchard-embowered house where the Cuthberts lived was a scant quarter of a mile up the road from Lynde's Hollow. To be sure, the long lane made it a good deal further. Matthew Cuthbert's father, as shy and silent as his son after him, had got as far away as he possibly could from his fellow men without actually retreating into the woods when he founded his homestead. Green Gables was built at the furthest edge of his cleared land, and there it was to this day barely visible from the main road along which all the other Avonlea houses were so sociably situated. Mrs. Rachel Lynde did not call living in such a place living at all. It's just staying, that's what, she said as she stepped along the deep-rutted grassy lane bordered with wild rose bushes. It's no wonder Matthew and Marilla are both a little odd, living away back here by themselves. Trees aren't much company, though dear knows if they were, there'd be enough of them. I'd rather look at people, to be sure. They seem contented enough, but then I suppose they're used to it. A body can get used to anything, even to being hanged, as the Irishman said. With this, Mrs. Rachel stepped out of the lane into the backyard of Green Gables. Very green and neat and precise was the yard, set about on one side with great patriarchal willows, and on the other with prim Lombardies. Not a stray stick nor stone was to be seen, for Mrs. Rachel would have seen it if there had been. Privately, she was of the opinion that Marilla Cuthbert swept that yard over as often as she swept her house. One could have eaten a meal off the ground without overbrimming the proverbial peck of dirt. Mrs. Rachel rapped smartly at the kitchen door and stepped in when bidden to do so. The kitchen at Green Gables was a cheerful apartment, or would have been cheerful if it had not been so painfully clean as to give it something of the appearance of an unused parlor. Its windows looked east and west. Through the west one, looking out the backyard, came a flood of mellow June sunlight. But the east one, whence you got a glimpse of the bloom-white cherries in the left orchard and nodding, slender birches down in the hollow by the brook, was greened over by a tangle of vines. Here sat Marilla Cuthbert, when she sat at all, always slightly distrustful of sunshine, which seemed to her too dancing and irresponsible a thing for a world which was meant to be taken seriously. And here she sat now, knitting, and the table behind her was laid for supper. I love that these women knit. Isn't that marvelous? Mrs. Rachel, before she had fairly closed the door, had taken mental note of everything that was on that table. There were 3 plates laid, so that Marilla must be expecting someone home with Matthew to tea. But the dishes were everyday dishes, and there were only crabapple preserves and one kind of cake, so that the expected company could not be any particular company. Yet one of Matthew's white collar and sorrel mare. Mrs. Rachel was getting fairly dizzy with this unusual mystery about quiet, unmysterious Green Gables. Good evening, Rachel, Marilla said briskly. This is a real fine evening, isn't it? Won't you sit down? Here, or how are you all? Well, how are all your folks? I need a sip of coffee. How are all your folks? Something that, for lack of any other name, might be called friendship existed and always had existed between Marilla Cuthbert and Mrs. Rachel, in spite of, or perhaps because of, their dissimilarity. It's kind of like opposites attract. Marilla was a tall, thin woman with angles and without curves. Her dark hair showed some gray streaks and was always twisted up in a hard little knot behind her two wire hairpins stuck aggressively through it. She looked like a woman of narrow experience and rigid conscience, which she was, but there was a saving something about her mouth, which, it had been ever so slightly developed, might have been considered indicative of a sense of humor. We're all pretty well, said Mrs. Rachel. I was kind of afraid you weren't, though, when I saw Matthew starting off today. I thought maybe he was going to the doctor's. Marilla's lips twitched understandingly. She had expected Mrs. Rachel up. She had known that the sight of Matthew jaunting off so unaccountably would be too much for her neighbor's curiosity. Oh, no, I'm quite well, although I had a bad headache yesterday, she said. Matthew went to Bright River. We're getting a little boy from an orphan asylum in Nova Scotia, and he's coming to the train tonight. If Marilla had said that Matthew had gone to Bright River to meet a kangaroo from Australia, Mrs. Rachel could not have been more astonished. She was actually stricken dumb for 5 seconds. It was unsupposable that Marilla was making fun of her, but Mrs. Rachel was almost forced to suppose it. Are you in earnest, Marilla? She demanded. One voice returned to her. Oh, yes, of course, said Marilla, as if getting boys from orphan asylums in Nova Scotia were part of the usual spring work on any well-regulated Avonlea farm, instead of being an unheard-of innovation. Mrs. Rachel felt that she had received a severe mental jolt. She thought in exclamation points, a boy! Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert, of all people, adopting a boy from an orphan asylum! Well, the world was certainly turning upside down. She would be surprised at nothing after this. Nothing. What on earth put such a notion into your head? She demanded disapprovingly. This had been done without her advice being asked and must, perforce, be disapproved. Sorry. Well, We've been thinking about it for some time, all winter in fact, returned Marilla. Mrs. Alexander Spencer was up here one day before Christmas, and she said she was going to get a little girl from the asylum over in Hopetown in the spring. Her cousin lives there, and Mrs. Spencer has visited her and knows all about it. So Matthew and I have talked it over off and on ever since. We thought we'd get a boy. Matthew is getting up in years, you know. He's 60, and he isn't so spry as he once was. His heart troubles him a good deal, and you know how desperate hard it's got to be to get hired help. There's never anybody to be had but those stupid half-grown little, oh dear, this is slightly racist, I'm sorry guys, those stupid half-grown little French boys. And as soon as you do get one broke into your ways and taught something, he's up and off to the lobster canneries or the States. At first, Matthew suggested getting a homeboy, but I said no, flat to that. They may be all right, I'm not saying they're not, but no London street Arabs for me. Oh dear, sorry guys, I didn't realize that this is an old book. It was written in the 1800s, early 1900s, possibly 1904. I love you guys. Don't judge me. Okay, I said, give me a native born at least. There'll be a risk no matter what we get, but I'll feel easier in my mind and sleep sounder at nights if we get a born Canadian. So, in the end, she sounds like my grandma. Sorry, guys. So, in the end, we decided to ask Mrs. Spencer to pick us out one when she went over to get her little girl. We heard last week she was going, so we sent her word by Richard Spencer's folks at Carmody to bring us a smart, likely boy of about 10 or 11. We decided that would be the best age, old enough to be of some use in doing chores right off, and young enough to be trained up proper. We mean to give him a good home and schooling. We had a telegram from Mrs. Alexander Spencer today. The mailman brought it from the station, saying they were coming on the 5:30 train tonight, so Matthew went to Bright River to meet him. Mrs. Spencer will drop him off there. Of course, she goes on to White Sands Station herself. Mrs. Rachel prided herself on always speaking her mind. She proceeded to speak it now, having adjusted her mental attitude to this amazing piece of news. Well, Marilla, I'll just tell you plain that I think you're doing a mighty foolish thing, a risky thing, that's what. You don't know what you're getting. You're bringing a strange child into your house and home, and you don't know a single thing about him, nor what his disposition is like, nor what sort of parents he had, nor how he's likely to turn out. Why, it was only last week I read in the paper how a man and his wife up west of the island took a boy out of an orphan asylum, and he set fire to the house at night. Set it on purpose, Marilla, and nearly burnt them to a crisp in their beds. And I know another case where an adopted boy used to suck the eggs. They couldn't break him of it. If you had asked my advice in the matter, which you didn't do, Marilla, I'd have said for mercy's sake not to think of such a thing, that's what. This job's comforting seemed neither to offend nor alarm Marilla. She knitted steadily on. I feel like that should be like on a t-shirt. She knitted steadily on. I don't deny there's something in what you say, Rachel. I've had some qualms myself. But Matthew was terrible set on it. I could see that, so I gave in. It's so seldom Matthew sets his mind on anything that when he does, I always feel it's my duty to give in. And as for the risk, there's risks in pretty nearly everything a body does in this world. There's risks in people's having children of their own. If it comes to that, they don't always turn out well, and then Nova Scotia is right close to the island. It isn't as if we were getting him from England or the States. He can't be much different from ourselves. Well, I hope it will turn out all right, said Mrs. Rachel in a tone that plainly indicated her painful doubts. Only don't say I didn't warn you if he burns Green Gables down or puts strychnine in the well. I heard of a case over in New Brunswick where an orphan asylum child did that. The whole family died in fearful agonies. Only it was a girl in that instance. Well, we're not getting a girl, said Marilla, as if poisoning wells were a purely feminine accomplishment, and not to be dreaded in the case of a boy. I'd never dream of taking a girl to bring up. I wonder at Mrs. Alexander Spencer for doing it. But there, she wouldn't shrink from adopting a whole orphan asylum if she took it into her head. Mrs. Rachel would have liked to stay until Matthew came home with his imported orphan, But, reflecting that it would be a good 2 hours at least before his arrival, she concluded to go up the road to Robert Bell's and tell them the news. It would certainly make a sensation second to none, and Mrs. Rachel dearly loved to make a sensation. So she took herself away, somewhat to Marilla's relief, for the latter felt her doubts and fears reviving under the influence of Mrs. Rachel's pessimism. "Well, of all things that ever were or will be," exclaimed Mrs. Rachel, when she was safely out in the lane, "it does really seem as if I must be dreaming. Well, I'm sorry for that poor young one, and no mistake. Matthew and Marilla don't know anything about children, and they'll expect him to be wiser and steadier than his own grandfather, if so be's he ever had a grandfather, which is doubtful. It seems uncanny to think of a child at Green Gables somehow. There's never been one there, for Matthew and Marilla were both grown up when the new house was built. If they ever were children, which is hard to believe when one looks at them. I wouldn't be in that orphan's shoes for anything. My, but I pity him, that's what." "So," said Mrs. Rachel to the wild rose bushes out of the fullness of her heart. But if she could have seen the child who was waiting patiently at the Bright River station at that very moment, her pity would have been still deeper and more profound. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so that was the first 8 pages of Anne of Green Gables. What'd you think? I really liked it. I think we'll keep this going. I wonder if we can read the whole book. It's a lot of material for a while, but you know, I think it's kind of sweet because I really love Anne of Green Gables. I thought I'd just share my love of a wonderful Canadian novel to you guys because honestly, growing up, my dad comes from Nova Scotia, which is really close to the island of... That was not set up properly. Scared me. Okay, well, anyways, guys, I'm just gonna leave that down there because you know what? I need to find a better way to put that up every week because that is not very good. I hope it didn't make you guys jump. Make me jump. So, anyways, what I was saying is my dad's from Nova Scotia, which is right near Prince Edward Island. That's what PEI is, and that's the setting for Anne of Green Gables, which is out on the East Coast. And sometimes I wonder if, to be honest, they probably had pretty good East Coast accents, which are the kind of classic Canadian accents where like, no doubt, no doot to boot doot. Well, they don't say it like that, but like, oh, sure, no. I have to get angry to get my East Coast accent on. When I get really heated and very like emphatic, it's when I start to sound like an East Coaster. But yeah, so I've been to Prince Edward Island only once though, when I was really little, because I had an uncle who lived out there, and we went to visit him, and we picked peas from the garden, and I think we went to see Anne of Green Gables, and the play, and I really want to go back. Like they'll sell hats that have the red braids, and I don't know if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. You'll get to know a little bit better and a little bit later in that story. That was just introducing the first 2 real characters, Marilla, who I love, and Rachel, Mrs. Rachel Lynde, who is just the funniest lady. So, okay, so now that we've had a little bit of a collapse of our scenery here at JuniperGraceTube, let me just pick that back up. It's perfectly fine. So you can see this thing is covered, every little inch of it is covered in postcards. I have to get another one or a bigger one or something, but it is my postcard wall from all of you Junipers. And so if you are new to JuniperGraceTube, what we're doing right now, or we had a great idea a while ago, kind of closer to the beginning of JuniperGraceTube, was to start collecting postcards from all of the Junipers around the world and just see where our Junipers are coming from and kind of spread the love to Juniper Grace and keep things going. And that's when I used to have an empty wall back there, but now I don't have an empty wall. So I've been getting creative with my little falling down postcard thing. But we have a few new postcards from this week, or the past week and a half. One is this little monkey in the most adorable knit sweater playing with the turtle. Seriously. And it's from Oh, Lena, but her, I don't know how to say her name because I think she's from Norway. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's from Norway. If you look, it's like Norg. Someone help me out. I think that's Norway, right? Look at the stamp. Anyways, and I think she goes by Bugdikak. Oh no, that's embarrassing. I'm sorry. Lena. I love this postcard. Look at the little monkey sweater. If I had a monkey, I would totally knit him sweaters. I think that's just adorable. I'm sorry for butchering your name. I'm horrible. Your Ravelry name. It's like FRKB. Can't quite read it. BCCLEGAKK. Frigglebugkak. Yee. And then I have one from Carpinteria, California, from the lovely Lori, Lori ×5, who is actually in Shetland right now on the Shetland Wool Adventure with Gudrun Johnson and someone else. Anyways, and they are visiting places that they've seen sheep being shorn. They've learned some dyeing techniques from a dyeing master. What else? Like so many amazing things. If you are on Instagram, you should look up the hashtag Shetland Adventure. Or just look up Lori ×5, all one word, Lori ×5. And you'll be able to see some of the adventures that have been happening. Or if you have Gudrun Johnson on your Instagram feed, the pictures are amazing. I'm trying really hard to just be very happy for Lori. I wish I was there. Talk about an amazing adventure. Although I get to go to Maine in like a month, 2 months, a month and a half. Oh my gosh, really soon. I also got some more love in the mail. First of which came just after I had recorded from Lori Angela in Chilliwack. Chilliwack, BC. It's really close to where I live. So she sent me a little card and then a little package that had Hexie Puffs. She said that she wasn't, she kind of got in on a Hexie Puff swap, but then realized that she wasn't really going to use these ones for her blanket, I don't think, or maybe she's not going to make a blanket. I have to reread. Even though I am entirely charmed by its lovely Ravelry board, she decided not to make the beekeeper's quilt, which is totally legit. I mean, honestly, my beekeeper's quilt won't be done until I'm like 65 or something. I don't know. Just kidding. Probably not. But there's these cute little ones that were sent to her. And then there's a few more that I think I might have to reknit. She left them open so that I have the choice, because these ones look closer to the size that I've been knitting. And then these ones are a bit bigger. But look how sweet, and I love the colors. Those are so much fun. So also, that brings me to, if you want to send me a little bit of yarn to make hexapuffs, or if you want to send me some made hexapuffs for my blanket, I would not say no. And she sent me some adorable little bumblebee clips. They're so cute! They're little bumblebees. I don't know if it'll focus. Will it focus? You're just getting a lot of my nail. There you go. Look at that little guy. Isn't he adorable? Oh my gosh, I'm totally in love with bumblebees. I mean, if you've watched previous episodes, you've heard me talk about bumblebees before. I went out and I bought a bunch of flowers for my little patio garden so that the bumblebees could have something to eat. Nectar and pollen. Because I watched a few documentaries on Netflix and I really care about the bumblebees. And I think they need more people to care about them and how they're not scary at all. I used to be terrified of bumblebees. The things that are scary are wasps, 'cause they'll actually go for you. Bumblebees don't care. They're just bumbling around. They're just looking for nectar. They're looking for flowers, and they're usually girls. Like, what is it? 95% of the bumblebees you see around, like the worker bees that are out and about collecting pollen, those are female bees. And I also learned that they need water. And so I went and bought a bird waterer that is like an upside down mason jar with a tray, and I put rocks in a tray so that the bumblebees can actually land in water and get water as well from there. I just really love bumblebees. Actually, and I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so I have a new idea for a little giveaway. Have Have you guys ever heard of bee waterers? They're basically like a flat pie plate that you put rocks or pebbles, or you can get those decorative rocks, you know, like those little, yeah, anyways. And you put them in the pie plate, and then you fill the pie plate with water, just not above the rock level. Like, you want the rocks to be poking out. And that way the bees can fly around and they can land on the rocks and they can water themselves. Because, you know what, it's really hot out there. At least it's been hot around here, and the bumblebees need water too. So I bought these little bumblebees that are handmade by a local artist. I think she has a little flower shop, and it's called Elephant Flowers. And it's just like a little bumblebee. I don't know if you can get a good idea of this adorable little guy. There you go. My mom gave me one a little while ago, and I went out and I bought 3 more because I just think they're the cutest little things. So I have 3 little bumblebees that I wanted to give away to you guys, but I only want to give them away to people that do a bee waterer. So I might put a link on how to make a bee waterer, but what I like, if you guys would be willing, is you should make yourself a bee waterer for your little garden, or for somewhere in like your porch or something like that, and then take a picture of it and show me your bee waterer, and then enter in to win a little bumblebee handmade in Victoria. It would just mean a lot to me. I think we should do what we can to take care of the world, and I think giving back is a really good thing to do. And I think giving back to the little bumblebees that basically help us eat and live. Like, they pollinate the plants. They help us to have fruit and vegetables, you know? Like, without them, we would not have what we have available in supermarkets nowadays. So yeah, take a picture of that and share with me, and you might win a bumblebee. Okay, which I guess, oh, I haven't finished my mail. Oh my gosh, Captain Distracto. Okay, so then, all the way from Japan, Jacqueline, or Jay Wilson, sent me this beautiful little notebook. And it says, "What is this feeling?" It's like love, and it says, on the back it says, "Today I am going to read all these books and then go on a big, big adventure. Are you in?" Which is like my life, right? And then she sent me the most adorable card, which I think is so cool. And it's of kakigori, or shaved ice snow cones on it, which is a good treat that they have in Japan. Obviously, just a good treat in the heat. So she sent me that all the way from Japan. My goodness, thank you so much. I love, like, people keep sending me like requests for my address, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna, I have a postcard to send you," or that's what I think it is, and then all of a sudden I get like a notebook in the mail. Or I've set up a couple swaps with some friends for Starbucks mugs, because I am a Starbucks mug nerd. I have a collection, and the lovely Michelle Owls sent me the Ohio mug. Look how cool that is. I'm having problems with left and right. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Like, it's red inside, which I love. And I like these new city mugs that they have at Starbucks. Except, Michelle, can you tell me what's on here? I don't know what that bridge is. I don't know what that building is. I don't know anything really about Ohio. So if you'd be willing, I just bought yours, so I'm going to send you yours in the mail. But then, look, she's sent me the cutest little card and some amazing white coating covered opera cream. Eat. So yeah, so that's been my mail love, M-A-I-L love, that has come in. And on that note, since we talked about giveaways, I have some giveaways that need to be awarded. So last episode, I gave away, or I offered up my sister-in-law's crayons as a giveaway, because it was her birthday on the 21st of July, and she makes these really adorable upcycled crayons that are just really fun. Look at the leaves. And so I decided to do a giveaway based on people's birthday memories, like their favorite birthday memories. And then if they showed me a picture, or tradition, memory or tradition, if they showed me a picture, they got a double entry. So I'm gonna draw 3 names, and I put them in this little bowl with the papers, because there were a few people that had double entries and a few people that didn't, and random number generator wasn't going to work for this one. So, dun, 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 for the first winner who gets their first pick of the crayons, you are Sue Wilkins. Yay! I love Sue Wilkins. She was telling us a story about how when she was in nursing school and she was 9 months pregnant, someone threw her birthday party, even though that wasn't actually her birthday, but it was just so loving and wonderful and just made me happy. Okay, so the next person that won is Jolie. She had a double entry because she put pictures, and she actually put quite a few good pictures up of the birthdays that they celebrate for her sons, and how they get to wear crowns with the year, like how old they are, which is crazy fun. So you get second choice, and then the third winner, dun, 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 Angie Ship. Yay! You got a double entry too. And I'm trying to remember what your birthday thing was. Let me look at my iPad real quick. There were so many good little birthday stories. I really liked it. Angie Ship had, let me find you. Where are you? Oh yeah, she had a picture of the pool party. Birthdays with my family are normally spent at my parents' house. We have dinner. My birthday is in June, so we get to go swimming. And she showed a picture of a little pool party that they have, which is so much fun. So I'll give Sue first choice. Whoa, sorry. Jolie, who actually has a podcast herself, I'll give her second choice, and then Angie, you'll get third choice. And so again, those are the crayons, and thank you guys for participating. I love hearing your stories, and I really, really love doing giveaways. So yeah, I think that'll be fun. Okay, moving on to the next thing. So what have I been up to? It's been about a week and a half since I last talked to you guys. Not quite 2 weeks. Well, maybe 2 weeks. Oh dear. Time goes by really quickly in the summer, I've decided. I've tried to spend a lot of time outside. I've spent a lot of time with my hubby. We've gone on a few adventures. We went for a hike to Mystic Beach, which was like this 2-kilometer hike through West Coast rainforest to march down a very long set of stairs to get to the most beautiful beach. With the waves crashing, and we packed sandwiches, and it was me and my husband and a bunch of guy friends of my husband's. It was me and all the boys, and it was just beautiful. We covered ourselves in sunscreen. The boys went off exploring, and I did some knitting on the beach, and it was kind of like, if I was going to spend that day knitting, it was the best way to spend my day knitting, which was sitting on the beach and really, really enjoying myself. Yeah. It was incredible. What else did I do? And I made it back. The hike back was a little bit questionable given how many stairs there were. Have you ever done that where you're walking along or you're on a hike, and basically the whole time there it's kind of downhill, or at the very end, like this happens all the time on the island. It's like right before you hit the beach, there's just like a bunch of stairs, and they'll be like stairs, 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 and then a few platforms, and then stairs, 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 and it's just like fine when you're going there, and you almost don't really realize it, except for like curvy legs. I'm kind of out of shape. So as I was walking down the stairs, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to climb back up all of these stairs to get out of here. I was like, oh, and I'm with all of these like huge, big, tall, really athletic guys that love to go mountain biking, and Joel and Travis always go and play tennis and go for runs, and it's like no big deal, and that's like what they do, and I'm like, I like to sit and knit, which doesn't exactly work out your legs. So after that hike, I was like, I need to get a bike. I need to get a bike, and I need to get out and get more active, because it was just tough on the way back, but everything was fine. It was like the first half of the hike back was tough, and then we kind of kept going, and I got a blister on the back of my heel, like a big baby, but it was fun, and it was totally worth it though, guys. Like I'm not trying to whine or anything. I'm just trying to say, like, I'm not perfect. I'm not one of those people that can, like, there was this woman that had 2 kids, and they ran past us on, and I'm talking like, this is rainforest trail. This is not normal trail. It's like bumps and hills and dips and stepping over roots and walking on little planks and all kinds of stuff, and these kids were running. And then she came running after them, like, doo-doo-doo, like, no big deal. I was like, well, good for you. Good for you. But anyways, yeah, so it was really beautiful and really, really fun to get out. And then other than that, I've also been planning out just what I want to knit to to go to Maine. I've been trying to finish some unfinished objects, UFOs floating around ever since I did the big clean. I found all the UFOs. And I've also been planning to, I'm going to talk about that in my works in progress, never mind. I've also been planning for my craft fair that I usually do in November, because I figure if I start now, which I should have even started before, if I start now, I won't be like knitting 24 hours, 24/7, like 2 weeks before the craft fair, realizing I have nothing. So, which leads me to talk about knit picks. Does anybody ever shop on knitpicks.com? I don't know. We're kind of obsessed with knit picks at my knit night. We are huge fans of knit picks because I find that the range of colors, the availability of the yarn, the quality of the yarn, as well as the prices, all of those things, and including also the needles and the books and notions, everything. All of that put together is a really magical package. Like, the shipping is pretty much flat rate shipping. It doesn't cost a ton. Usually for knit night we get together and we put an order ourselves, but I'm trying to catch a sale here. There is a sale right now where they have at least 10% off all the yarn. Some yarn is like 50% off. They also have a 40% off sale on their books at the moment. So they have every book. Like, that's where I get my Elizabeth Zimmerman books, through Knit Picks online. Yeah, and it's amazing. So I've been kind of calculating and figuring out, like, okay, I want to knit this many toques and this many mittens. It's kind of what I do for the craft fairs. And so then I was kind of looking through and picking my story color, because I always have to think about, like, what colors will I be wanting to knit in Christmas time, or what will sell around Christmas, as opposed to what will sell right now, because it's not right now that I'm selling. I'm going to be selling in Christmas time. And yeah, and so I've been working on that, and I spent like probably an hour and a half today kind of compiling and deciding what to put into my cart for what to order. I have some good things. I'll have to show you guys when it comes. And then the other exciting news is my mom is on Ravelry. Okay, so I made her join like last October. And by made her, I mean I signed her up and put everything on. But then we never really went further than just signing her up for Ravelry, because I can't remember if that was still when you had to wait, like you had to submit your name but then wait for the invitation, or maybe not. I don't know. For whatever reason, we didn't do it right away. And then totally forgot my mom was on Ravelry. So I go back again and I'm like, Mom, my mom keeps, hi Mom, by the way, she watches me. Hi Mom, I love you. Anyways, so she's like, I want to join your thing on Ravelry, and I want to, like, you know, be a part of stuff. And I said, well, Mom, we have to get you on Ravelry. I've been talking to you about this for like months. And she's like, okay, well, how do I do that? So I went to check, and through a process of elimination realized she was already signed up for Ravelry. So once we figured it all out and we sorted out her password, we got her signed in, and so she is Moira Paints, Moira Paints, Paints, on Ravelry, and a few of you might have already noticed that she's friended you. I went ahead and friended a few of my friends, and I joined a couple groups, but anyways, you should go and say hello and kind of like drive by friend my mom. And she doesn't have any projects up yet or stash, but we'll get her in the end. It's gonna happen. But my mom is on Ravelry. Mary Woolly Bear 368, she's from the Knitting Dish podcast. She messaged me on WhatsApp, and she's like, oh, Grace, your Mumsy's on Ravelry, because I always call Mom Mumsy, right? She's like, Mumsy's on Ravelry, she added me, she's my friend. And she's like, oh, because I went and I looked and I said, Moira, whatever, artist, Moira, whatever. I can't remember her name, but I went ahead and I looked at her profile, and then I'm like, oh, that's your mom. So she got so excited. And so yeah, go be friends with my mom on Ravelry, because I think you'll like that. And you need to like suggest patterns for her. I don't know if there's a way to do that. I can't remember, but let's all just be friends and like message her like a pattern that she should try. Like, we have to get her into this. We have to get her on board with Ravelry, because she'll love it. I might be creating a monster, but I think it's totally worth it. So those are the big things that have been going on. We also had, remember the last interactive Instagram thing from the podcast? We had where I posted a picture about my yarn from Aggie Johnson. Well, from Barb, that I got at the last retreat in Maine. It was a birthday present, and it's the Aggie Johnson Fiberworks. 75% wool, 25% nylon. It's roughly 410 yards. And I've had a few suggestions. I asked, what should I knit with this? And so some people were suggesting socks. A lot of people were suggesting very lacy shawls that I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for like really hardcore lace work yet. I've just conquered the sock here, people, guys. Like I don't know if I'm ready for like a really hardcore lacy shawl. Excuse me. But anyways, I think I have two winners. It's either the Mireille beret. It's a mystery beret from Woolly Wormhead. I'll show you guys a picture of it on my iPad. Can you see that? The Mireille mystery beret. And it's quite, let's see if I can get it to scroll. It's quite pretty. It's kind of a little bit lacy, not crazy lacy. I like it. There's that as one option. Or the Pebble Beach Shawlette by Helen Stewart. And that one was suggested by quite a few people. Also dittoed by Paula from the Knitting Pipeline. So I very much respect her opinion. Let's see if I can scroll up. It's so pretty. I don't know. So I need some more help. So in the chitter chatter for JuniperGraceTube on Ravelry, maybe if you guys can help me do the final decision. I think I'm leaning towards the shawl, but I might need your guys' help one more time. So I'll just open up a thread that's kind of like a voting thread. Maybe you guys can give me your opinions. I would love that. I've also been kind of looking, like, I remember thinking about going to Maine, looking at things that people have given me. Speaking of which, dun, 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 remember the Woolamize that the most amazing Fitzjulia sent me? I met her at the last Maine retreat and she was so sweet, and all I did was comment on her Instagram picture of the yarn saying, oh my gosh, I am jealous and I love that and I would love to make something that's like on my bucket list, and she just mailed it to me. I've been wanting to, like, this is a honkin' skein. This is the lace yarn. It's like, what is it, 1,700 yards? Something like, yes. 1,722 yards, 300 grams. Purple. It's beautiful. And I was kind of thinking, I'm like, okay, what am I going to knit with this? So I think that based on, because I was looking at, you know, what you do. You go to Ravelry and you look at the ones that are done and things that are made and the typical popular patterns. And there's the pattern... There's two really, really popular patterns for this one skein of yarn, and one of those being the Viajante or Viajante by Martina Bem, as well as the Novum, and they're both just these gigantic, beautiful shawl things. The only thing the Viajante or Viajante, whichever you say, has kind of against it, as far as I'm concerned, is the cowl, like how high up it's kind of a hood or a tube. My neck is not that tiny, and I don't feel comfortable with things that are like, you know, like that on my neck. So what won me over was the Novum knit by Inugu. I don't know her specifically, but I was looking at her on Ravelry because that's one of the projects that popped up. So, oh, let's see if I can get it to scroll. So look at this. She knit it in this beautiful, beautiful kind of gray. I love these pictures, by the way. Oops, wrong way, left and right. But look what it looks like. So I'm sold. I'm totally knitting a Novum with this purple. I very much doubt that I'd be able to finish it before Maine, but it might be a good thing to bring for just mindless knitting on the plane, or I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do with this. I figured it out. Okay. So then, so I need your help with that decision. And then I have another interactive thing for Instagram. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to, okay, where are you? Here we go. So what I'm going to ask for help with now is I have to paint my nails. Sorry, I've been captured. I had it all set up and it kind of got messed up. I have to paint my nails, or at least I want to paint my nails because, well, hello. They're getting to be really long, weird claw things that I don't like, and I can't play ukulele when I have really long, like, look at those things. Ooh. So it's time to give myself a bit of a manicure. I gotta trim down the nails, and then I want to paint them because I haven't painted them for a little while. So I have this picture right here of the 3 options. Can you guys see? Oh, it's not being very friendly to the screen. There you go. 3 options of nail polish that I have. So let's review. We have Merino Cool by Essie, Mermaid's Tears by OPI, which is from the Pirates of the Caribbean collection, and then Sweet Daisy by Nicole, which is, I think, from the Carrie Underwood. Yeah, Carrie Underwood collection. I just really like the color. So I'm going to say, I need help deciding what color to paint my nails today. Merino Cool by Essie, Mermaid's Tears by OPI, or Sweet Daisy by Nicole. And I'm going to put that out into the universe, the Facebookiverse / everythingiverse, and see what people have to say. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's go into the finished projects that I have, because I've actually accomplished a couple things. I felt like I accomplished a lot more. I really feel like I got stuff done. However, in actual done things, I guess it's not like by number of projects, maybe not, but I feel like I've accomplished an awful lot. So we have, let me reach behind. We have 2 finished knitted objects. Okay, so you guys remember my classic mittens that I always wear, and you find them on my, whoops, oh, I gotta fix that. You find them on my Instagram feed like all the time. They're the Linden Mitts by Jane Richmond. I have been meaning, and these are knit with Knit Picks Felici self-striping. This is the sport weight in the boutique colorway. I have been meaning for a while to try out the fingering weight version. And look! I started these a little while ago, and I had about a cuff and half a thumb, or at least half a thumb gusset on the one, and they were in the UFO pile, and I just thought, oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing? I need to finish these. So I knit them. Now, the only thing is, I'm a bit, if you can tell, I'm a bit ridiculous about matching the stripes. I like everything to match a lot. Like, that is my thing. That's my jam. I like it when they match the self-striping stuff. So my socks, the self-stripes, like, they always match. I couldn't get that to happen perfectly with these mittens because it literally pretty much uses the entire ball of yarn. So this is the first mitt, and I knit all the way up, and I hold stitches, I do the thumbs, I do the thumbs very last, but I knit, finished on red. So then I kind of, what I had left over for the thumbs was from orange to purple, right? Then I go and I cast on again at red, which is how you get the stripes to go perfectly. Cast on again at red. Everything was perfect until I got to the end and I didn't have enough red. They shorted me by that much red. I was not happy because that was the very end of the ball, was the red there. And I didn't have any more red. So I just ended up going into orange, which was from the end of the previous mitten. So I have 2 extra ends, or 1 extra end woven in at the top of the mitten, which isn't my favorite because it feels kind of funny on the fingers, but that doesn't matter. They're a gift. And then we came to the thumbs and I thought, oh great, I can't do exactly the same thumb. So I knit one, I think I reknit this one about 4 times because when I finally knit this one, I think the first one I did was whatever was left over of the orange into yellow. And then I just kept going yellow to green. But I liked the look of the little stripe of yellow and the lot of green that I was like, oh, I should try to do that on the other finger. But or other thumb, and then I had like an extra end in the middle of the thumb, and it was just awful. So I decided, okay, fine, I'll just do blue, a little stripe of blue into purple for the next thumb. So they're not exactly perfect in my eyes, but I really like them. And I'm pretty sure Pippi Longstocking would wear them, so I'm happy. And yeah, that's the Linden Mitts by Jane Richmond, and I'll link to that. These are my favorite mittens. They are so lightweight and so sweet, and I think I need to make some mitten blockers, but I freaking, like, look, they're perfect. You know, I toss them in my purse, I toss them in my backpack when I go camping with the brownies or hiking. Just, you know, they're just like perfect, especially out here on the West Coast. It can go from like really warm to quite chilly kind of at nighttime. So these mittens are perfect. Those are done. And then my Christmas in July socks. Yay! Also, might I note, perfectly matched stripe-wise. I am totally obsessed with matching the stripes. So, this is done by Juliana's Fibers. She's from Ontario, and I have been bugging her to maybe possibly, if she's willing, make an Anne of Green Gables colored inspired colorway. I don't know if she will or not, but maybe we could all collectively as Junipers bother her a little bit and just say, hey, Juliana, do you want to, you know? I think she's Juliana Pacini on Instagram, and then she has an Etsy shop, and she's on Ravelry, and this is the Under the Mistletoe colorway. Also knit by Amy Beth of the Fat Squirrel Speaks podcast. That's how I found out about this yarn, because I just loved the look of her socks. So I was like, so these are my July socks. Now, speaking of July socks, it is now obviously August 1st. Today is August 1st. I probably didn't say that at the beginning, did I? Anyways, it's August 1st. So it's time for another sock bag. And you guys know I'm doing the mystery socks where I put sock yarn in a paper bag, and each month I just pick one of the paper bags, not knowing what sock yarn is going to be in there. I've not opened this yet, so I don't know what I'm knitting for August. You guys get to learn with me. Oh! Yay! Okay, this is fun. This is Dancing Dog Dye Works, which I ordered on a whim thanks to Knittables podcast, because she loves them. And it's called the Mushroom Madness colorway. Yay! That's awesome. That'll make a pair of socks right there. Isn't that cute? That is perfect. Actually, what I was thinking of doing with this, I don't know if this one's self-striping though. There is a pattern that I was introduced to by Melinda of Yarnder Woman podcast. Well, she just started. She only has one episode out, but I loved it. So hi, Melinda, and I love your podcast, and everyone should go check it out. It's Yarnder Woman, and I will link to it in my show notes because I'm not exactly sure what the website is offhand. I think it's on YouTube. Not sure, but it was great, and she's so cute, and she's from Australia, and she has a really great accent, and I love how kind of, well, I don't know if it's gothic, but I like her color theme. Like, she's very much red, black, like colors that I wouldn't normally go for, but I admire because I just love how it's like, that's Melinda, you know, that's her style. She's knitting some socks called Vanilla Bean Striped Socks by Emily O'Grady, and the kind of fun part about these socks, I don't know if we can get up close, personal enough. I don't know if it'll focus if I get too close. Well, okay, so the stripes, oh yeah, you can see it on this picture, the one at the bottom. There's slip stitches in there, so it almost looks like a patchwork quilt of stripes, like you kind of sewed the stripes together rather than just knit them. And I like that, just a little variation on the average stripe of the sock. So I think I really like that, and I might go for it. I don't know if it'll do really well with this yarn, but how much fun is that? Okay, and then another thing that I have been really into, I've been showing you guys kind of little by little usually on my arm here, but I don't have any right now. I usually put a fake tattoo on, and there's a new set from Tattly. Tattly.com is like my favorite website. It's based out of New York, and they sell the best temporary tattoos. My husband is home really early. Okay, so sorry about that little break. My husband came home really early from class. Anyways, so what I was going to tell you, we have Tattly here, and Tattly came out with a new set of tattoos by Rifle Paper Company, and oh my gosh, they are so pretty, so pretty. I'll just show you a little bit. Like this one, I've already put one of these on my arm once. There's the flowery heart. So pretty. This one that says stop and smell the roses. I think these are my favorite ones when they have little like inspirational sayings on them. I just want to use them all the time. And then we have joie de vivre, but it's backwards because it's got to be a tattoo put on you. I'm so excited for these. And recently I just found out, I went online and I ordered a bunch of inspiring tattoos because I couldn't help myself. I found out that they have, sorry, I'm trying to use my words. They have a subscription now where you can get 10 tattoos a month with like a cute little holding little pouch thing for them. And yeah, you can do like 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, where it's basically like $10 a month for 10 tattoos, which is cheaper than normally you get 2 tattoos for $5. So I know what I want for my birthday, but I might just order it early because I don't know how long they'll have them available. Okay, so just quick check-in on the Instagram thing. So a lot of people like Brandy, BJ, Nitty Shishi, NDN Girl, Emski Knits are all saying Mermaid's Tears. So this one seems to be winning out for what color I should paint my nails. But my friend Becca, who was actually in my wedding, Nightingale Becca, she says all 3. She says go for pink nails with a mermaid accent nail and then little dots of the merino cool, which might be really fun. I just don't know if I'm that adventurous. I think I am. I like accent nails, but when I worked at the bank, there was this guy that I worked with one time, and we were working, and he just looked at me. He's like, you know, I don't get accent nails. He's like, I don't understand why girls do accent nails. They look really dumb. And I was like, thank you? Trying to tell me something? Like, clearly, very loudly tell me in front of my face that you don't like my accent nail? And I was like, I have accent nails. And he went off on this huge long rant. It was really, really funny. Curious. Okay, so then let's move into, I have 3 more things I want to talk about. I know it's been a bit long, but it's, you know, I love you guys and you love my podcast, right? So if you ever need to pause, you just pause and then come back and finish visiting with me, okay? You probably got an awful lot done on your knitting already. So 3 more things that I really want to talk about. Okay, so number 1, I have works in progress. So I told you guys that I was going to be working on a Cowichan sweater with, aided by my friend Julie. She's going to be knitting one as well, which she actually started knitting and it looks amazing. Julie, Inky077. I always want to call her Inky007. Like James Bond, but that's not her name. Inky077. Also the owner and creator of Mooncusser bags on Etsy, which I love. She and I have been doing a little bit of research. I was given the wool, you know, you guys probably know the backstory, but for the new viewers, I was given a big bag of all of the wool to spin and knit my own Cowichan sweater because I actually live on Vancouver Island, which is the birthplace of the Cowichan sweater. At the time, I was actually living in the Cowichan Valley in not Duncan, but in Crofton, which is right near the reserve that they have in Duncan, where the actual, like, that's where the Cowichan sweater came from. So I've been wanting to knit one for, I mean, this was like 3 or 4 years ago that I got all the yarn I needed for this sweater. And nothing ever came perfectly together until I started talking to my friend Julie, who is very interested in doing a Cowichan sweater with me. And we would like to have it for the Maine retreat when we go to Maine, because it's the perfect thing to wear when it's just a little bit, like, kind of chilly, but not too chilly. Anyways, we've decided, she went ahead and found the best pattern. It's the dude sweater. I freaking love this. I think it's so great. So if you've seen The Big Lebowski, that is the dude sweater. I love the model that they got, to the guy that they got. It's called I'm the Dude jacket by Bernat from Yarnspirations, I think it's called. So I tried to look it up on Ravelry, and it's not on Ravelry. So I think you actually have to go yarnspirations.com, which I'll add in my link or in my show notes. But I've got that, and then I have my own animals that I'm going to put in instead of like the Thunderbird that they have on there. So I started processing the wool. I was just being a big wuss about processing the wool because I can spin. I've spun tons of stuff, but the more you spin, especially on a drop spindle or a wheel, kind of the more you veer towards thinner yarn, like a finer yarn, and it's easy to get consistency on a finer yarn, I'm finding. Excuse me, than on a thicker yarn. But the idea of the Cowichan sweater, it's more like a roving. Like it is a thick, thick yarn. So I'll show you what I've got going here. This is on the spindle right now, and you can see it's not perfectly even, and I feel like there's a lot of extra twist here and there. This is some that I finished yesterday. I have been processing wool for like 3 days, and I'm not even a third of the way through all of the wool because it just takes a while to get all done. I've been doing that. I've also got some on the good old Nitty Naughty. Isn't this gorgeous though? This is real honest to goodness Cowichan wool. I love how there's kind of like, because it's natural, it's got like the tonal qualities of, it's not just kind of a gray brown, it's like gray brown, cream, all kind of mixed together. It's pretty soft, but it's definitely like a sturdy yarn. And I've been going off of a ball of the yarn that I bought from the Cowichan, or from the Sweater Trading Company, but you can see like that is it's a pretty hefty single. And I'm not going to ply it with anything, so I've been spinning, I've been nitty-knottying, and I've been giving them a little bath and then a dry out in the sunshine. So I've got about 6 other skeins of this stuff. But I can only do, like, when my spindle is, like, loaded to the max, I think the most I got on one spin was, like, 97 yards. So it's pretty intense stuff, which just makes me laugh. Okay, yeah, so that's what's been going on. I've also finished, oh I know, my other finished project. My other finished project was this, which is my first spinning in a really long time. I did this on the drop spindle. I bought it when I was in Salt Spring Island in February. The colorway is Clown Car, but I can't remember where the wool comes from, so I'll have to dig it out. But look how pretty it is. And I plied it. Basically, I spun 2 small singles and then plied it. It's kind of a little thick, a little thin. It's Juniper Grace yarn. Like, it's not perfect. I might sell it. I don't know. I have to decide. I like selling wool at the craft fair, but it's hard to let it go because it's hard to get a like half decent price because usually it costs about $16 for the wool. So, but you don't want to sell it from, I don't know, I've sell it for like $25, which just, I don't know if it's worth all of the hours that I spend doing it. But anyways, so that's my most recent spun object. And then yeah, okay, so we've done that. So I'm going to work on the Cowichan sweater and hopefully I'll get it done for Maine. I think it'll knit up really quick. It's just a matter of getting everything processed. So I'm glad that I started now. And the other work in progress, which you guys have seen, is my Hana Ho. My first ever knit along. Didn't finish. Still working on it. It's beautiful though. It's in the Space Cadet Creations Lyra. It's a sport weight yarn. This is the How Dare You colorway. And it's the pattern Hana Ho by Emsky Knits, Mel of Single-Handed Knits podcast. And oh my gosh, it's such a fun knit and it really is so flattering and beautiful. I just couldn't get my act together to finish, I don't know, just, it's summer. Summer is really hard to get stuff done. So we did a knit along and we had it's my first ever knit along, first ever prizes, all contained in here. And we had a lot of people participate, but I think they all got eaten by the summer bug a bit because it just, not a lot of people got finished. That's okay. It's a huge sweater. It's a pretty ambitious first knit along. I didn't finish mine. So I decided to open it up to everybody that had participated to post a picture before 11 o'clock today in the Ravelry feed, and then, you know, they would be eligible for a prize as well. So I decided kind of a 2-tiered prizing structure because we had 2 people that actually finished and then 2 people posted what they had in progress. I decided that the bigger prizes should go to the ones that finished. So we're going to do the mini skeins bundle and the beautiful, beautiful Girl Cave bag. Those are going to go to the people that finished. So that was Gail, Cottontail, and then Inky077 Julie. So I'm just I have their names on little pieces of paper in here, and I'm going to draw for whoever gets first choice. because I figured they both get a choice of that. Gail, by the way, actually finished in time for the first deadline. Okay, yeah, so Gail, Cottontail, you get first choice, and then Julie gets second choice between the bag and the mini skein kit bundle, okay? And then I decided on some secondary prizes. You guys have already seen them, but I added one extra thing. So I have the stitch markers from Akin Jewels. They're kind of the bumblebee stitch markers. And then these cute little notebooks from Above Par Gifts, or Crafts, sorry, AboveParCrafts.com. So I'm going to put stitch markers and a notebook. And then I grabbed another thing that Akin Jewels had sent me, Asia had sent me. It's another like removable stitch marker charm. Ooh, ooh. And I don't know if, I think my face is blocking the focus. Left and right. Anyways, it's the cute little sweater on needles, which I thought was very fitting for what we just did. And it's a little removable stitch marker with another notebook. So those will be the two other prizes. And so pretty much everybody that posted pictures is getting something, because you know what? It was a lot of effort, and I think that we should be rewarded. So to choose between those two, I'm going to have another little draw. I just feel like drawing things today. Another little draw for who gets to choose first. So we have the first choice of the second two prizes goes to, dun, 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 if I can get it open, Joy Hill. So Joy Hill and Mama Grizzly Knits, you two are going to get the secondary prizes. Joy Hill gets first choice, and then Mama Grizzly Knits gets the second choice. I will message you guys that, and thank you so much for participating. Which brings me... Oh my gosh, it's a long episode. Which brings me to another idea. Well, two ideas that we have, okay? Because, you know what, let's keep the knit along train rolling. I'm gonna get some more prizes. I have some things up my sleeves, which I think you guys will like. Possibly some roving to spin your own things. Anyways, that's just a side note. I have two new ideas that can go for like the next couple months, okay? But one of them I still have to kind of work out the details, but one will be a swap. And this is the idea of Meredith, who is Mirio Shop. She's one of the ones that won the calligraphy postcard giveaway. She's from New Brunswick. She actually knows my best friend. It was like totally random story. Like she found me via Pinterest because pictures of my wedding were on Pinterest, and she liked the pictures, and then she somehow found me elsewhere. Anyways, somehow we got linked up, and she sent me this adorable message, and she sent me the greatest idea. She has an idea for a swap. Now, the idea was that we would have just one partner, as opposed to, you know, like the Easter swap and the Valentine's swap thing that we did. This would be one person partner swap, where you take a project bag and you fill the project bag, and then you mail it to the person. Now, I have to work out all the details. I don't know if we should put like a cash limit or figure it out, but I want to get an idea of who's interested in joining this. So I'm going to open up the thread, but I'm not sure when we'll start. It probably won't be right away because I want to nail out the details with Meredith, but I think she's going to help me facilitate this one. But I think that is the greatest idea. Like, how much fun is that? You can be so creative. You can put candy. You can put yarn. Well, you should put yarn, I think. You can put notions in there. You can put pictures in there. You could put confetti, which might get tangled in the yarn, but it'd be so much fun. Like, there's just, the sky is the limit for how you can put this together. So I love that idea. And then what we can do is, if we have international participants, we can decide if we want to keep it open where people could be swapping internationally, or maybe somebody can say, I want to participate, but I don't have a ton of money. Can I keep it local? And then we can partner you guys accordingly. Personally, I would love to swap internationally because I think that's so much fun. But yeah, so isn't that a great idea? Then idea number 2, we're almost done here. The idea, why do I keep saying that? You don't care. You love me. I love you. When I am watching podcasts, I love them to go on forever. I don't want them to stop because I want to keep listening to what this person has to say. So I'm going to stop apologizing. Okay, so number 2 fingers, idea is Julie, again, I keep talking about her, sorry. She's a really good friend of mine. She's so inspiring. You know, she helps me out a lot, and she's very encouraging. She had a great idea that we could do another kind of swap, but this one actually involves knitting for each other. Where, have you guys ever seen like the best friend mittens swap? Where you pick, maybe you could pick a matching pattern, or you could pick 2 separate patterns. You knit a pair of mittens, but then you swap the right hand mitten. So you keep yours, but then you send away your right hand mitten to your swap buddy. So again, it'll be another one-on-one kind of swappy thing. But you send just the right hand one, and then they send you one, and then you have two different mittens, but they're a pair. So I don't know if you'd want to like plan it out with your partner. Like, I was trying to look for a specific pattern that I'd seen that I know Tiny Owl Knits and I thought Isolde Teague had done together, but I couldn't find it on Ravelry today. So I don't know if you guys can find it or help a sister out. But how much fun would that be if we did a little mitten swap? Because coming up to Maine, we're actually going to do the Maine Mitten Project, where we'll be knitting mittens to donate to Maine, a local Maine charity that gives the mittens to people that need warm hands in the wintertime. So if you want to be a part of that Maine Mittens project, you can even send me mittens, or you can send, I can figure out who you can send the mittens to if you want to be able to knit mittens and give them to a worthy cause. You could send them to me, and I could take them with me when I go to Maine and donate them on your behalf. But let's jump into this. Let's knit some mittens for each other, and let's make friends. And I think there should be another component to that too. But I just decided on these things like yesterday. So, sorry, not super well shaped yet. But I'll open up some threads. We'll get some discussion going. We'll see if people are interested, and then let's go for it. Why not, right? So those are the things. And yeah, so thank you so much for coming today. I'm sure that you got an awful lot of knitting done. I'm sure that your beverage is long gone. Mine's almost gone. Look at that. I want to know what you think about Anne of Green Gables. If you want to hear more, or if I should just scrap it. I don't know. You can be honest. I mean, we'll be kind and honest at the same time. And yeah, and I'll get in touch with the people that won things, and I'll open up the new threads. Come visit us on Ravelry. If you're not a member of the group, please come and join. We would love to have you there. My mom joined. I joined for her, but she's part of my group now. Go find my mom on Ravelry and say hello. And yeah, okay, so you've had a lot, you've finished all your drink, I'm sure. You've probably got a lot of knitting done this time, and I hope that you enjoyed this visit, because I totally enjoyed this visit. So all I can say now is that it is safe to return to your lives as normal. Thank you so much for coming to join me today. Bye. Oh, fun.